Welcome back to Wise Age Meaning. Masturbation in old age is not shameful. It can be a gentle way to stay connected with your body and your sense of vitality. But as we grow older, what once felt harmless may slowly become harmful. Certain habits, if left unexamined, can quietly drain your energy, your clarity, even your emotional balance. In this video, we'll uncover 8 masturbation behaviors that many older adults fall into, without realizing how they may be silently diminishing their health and inner life. This isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. Because the more you understand your body, the more wisely and fully you can live. 1. Excessive masturbation. When something meant to relieve you gradually drains you. Masturbation, for many older adults, is a private moment, a safe space where no explanation is needed. It can be a bit of relief, a silent connection with the body, or simply a way to feel still alive, still able to feel. But sometimes, precisely because of that familiarity and quietness, we don't realize that we're doing it too much. The body in old age is no longer as resilient as in youth. The skin becomes thinner, capillaries weaken, and tissues grow much more sensitive. Frequent masturbation, with the same pressure, rhythm, or intensity as before, can lead to mild inflammation, redness, swelling, burning sensations, or simply a deep fatigue you can't quite explain. But even more quietly, there's a kind of depletion in the spirit. When masturbation becomes a reflex to fill loneliness, negative emotions, or just to feel a sense of quick release, it gradually takes away that deeper joy, replacing it with a strange kind of weariness. And one day, you suddenly realize you no longer feel excited, no longer connected, no longer feel anything at all. At that point, the solution isn't to stop completely, but to adjust with kindness. Ask your body each time you want to touch it. Right now, do I need to be loved, or am I just trying to escape something? Reduce the frequency if you feel drained after each time. Take time to rest, sleep enough, eat well, stay hydrated, and use a safe lubricant to protect your delicate skin. And above all, remember this: masturbation is not a race toward orgasm. It is a gentle moment to return to yourself, without pressure, without judgment, only connection. 2. Unsafe tools. When curiosity accidentally hurts your body. There are times when, out of a desire to rediscover pleasure, or simply out of curiosity, some people try using alternative objects to assist in masturbation. But you know what? That lack of understanding, that spontaneous decision, can sometimes bring unnecessary risks, especially when the body has already entered a more sensitive phase of aging. When the skin is thinner, reflexes slower, and resilience reduced, using objects that aren't designed for sexual use, such as sharp, rough, or even unclean items, can cause scratches, bruising, infections, or worse, silent internal injuries that you only discover when it's too late. What's more, for seniors with neurological issues, shaky hands, or cognitive decline, a simple act can become an invisible danger. So what's needed is not fear or avoidance, but learning to choose wisely. Use only sex toys that are purpose-built, made of medical-grade materials, safe for the skin, easy to clean, and non-irritating. If you're unsure about anything, don't hesitate to ask a doctor or sexual health expert. They are here to help you, not to judge you. And more than anything, never feel ashamed for wanting safety and comfort. You deserve that tenderness, both physically and emotionally. You don't need something stronger or wilder. What you need is peace of mind when returning to yourself. 3. Neglecting personal hygiene. When a small habit quietly invites real risk. For younger people, cleaning before or after masturbation might seem like a casual routine, something they can skip without much consequence. But for older adults, every small act of hygiene can be the deciding factor between feeling fine and facing real trouble. As the immune system weakens, the skin becomes more fragile, and the genitals, whether male or female, become more sensitive to bacteria and the environment. Skipping hygiene before or after masturbation can lead to unwanted outcomes. Infections, itching, inflammation, burning urination, or lingering discomfort that you can't quite trace back to a cause. Even worse, for those with mobility or cognitive challenges, such as Parkinson's or early Alzheimer's, forgetting to wash hands, clean tools, or change into fresh underwear becomes more likely. And those small oversights gradually build up into serious risks. The solution isn't complicated. It just needs to be gentle, mindful, and consistent. Before masturbating, Wash your hands and gently clean your genitals with warm water or a mild, fragrance-free cleanser. After masturbating, dry yourself, put on clean underwear, and if you've used any devices, clean them with a safe disinfectant and store them in a dry, hygienic place. Don't think of this as a chore. Think of it as how you would care for a child who has walked a long, tired road. Hygiene isn't just about cleanliness. It's a quiet way of telling your body, I care about you. And sometimes that one small act is what keeps you truly well. 4. When masturbation takes up too much of your time and you slowly forget who you are beyond it. At a certain age, many of life's usual demands begin to settle. No more work pressure, no more raising kids, no more daily rush. And with that calm can come a subtle, creeping sense of emptiness. And sometimes you turn to masturbation as a way to fill that emptiness. At first, it's a pleasant act, relaxing, private, comforting. But if you find yourself spending more and more time on it, thinking about it constantly, feeling irritated if you don't do it, that's when it stops being a healthy release. It starts becoming a compulsion. And instead of you being in control, it begins to control you. Have you ever felt, I didn't want to, but I still did? Or, afterward I just felt empty, guilty, and didn't enjoy it at all. That's the moment to pause. Not because you're wrong or broken, but because you deserve a richer, more colorful life. One where masturbation isn't the only thing filling your days. So what can you do to change that? Rebuild your rhythm. Read a book, take a walk, care for your plants, call an old friend, listen to old music, learn a new skill. Spread your time across many small joys instead of pouring all your energy into one single habit. And if you feel you've lost control, don't be afraid to speak with a therapist. Not because you're sick, but because you want to regain your autonomy, a beautiful quality of being an adult. Maybe you masturbate because it reminds you that you're still alive. But truly living means remembering who you are, knowing your worth, and reconnecting with what makes you want to wake up in the morning. 5. When masturbation comes with guilt, and you start punishing yourself in silence. Have you ever found yourself in this situation? Late at night after a long, lonely day, you turn to masturbation. Not out of habit, not because of intense desire, but simply to feel a bit of connection with yourself again. But when it's over, instead of relief, you feel empty, ashamed, and silently blame yourself. You whisper to yourself, why am I still doing this at my age? Or worse, if my partner were still alive, would they be disappointed in me? That feeling isn't new. It's often rooted in the kind of old-school education where sexuality was seen as dirty, wrong, something for the young, and the elderly were expected to quietly fade into a life without physical needs. So even when masturbation happens privately, it's still clouded by shame, moral guilt, and the sense that you're doing something wrong, inappropriate, or unworthy. But what's the truth? Masturbation is not wrong. Sexual feelings in old age are not wrong. The desire to be close to your own body is something deeply human and worthy of respect. How do you deal with that guilt? Start by keeping a journal after each time you masturbate. Not to judge yourself, but to observe your real feelings. Do you feel joy, or do you feel like you're hiding from something? This will help you understand yourself better. If your guilt comes from religious beliefs, ask yourself, am I living by fear or by conscious presence? Faith can uplift you, but not through self-punishment. Talk to a fellow older friend, a therapist, or simply read up on modern medical research to remind yourself that you are not alone in this. Often, guilt doesn't come from the act itself, but from the words planted in your mind long ago by someone else. Now is the time to return those words to the past and give yourself permission to live honestly with no shame. 6. When masturbation happens in public and you can no longer control your private behavior. Imagine a regular afternoon at home. You or an elderly loved one is sitting in the living room. The door is open, and suddenly masturbation begins, unfiltered, unaware, as if it were completely normal. Scenarios like this have happened in many families, nursing homes, or geriatric hospitals. Often, they come with confusion, embarrassment, even panic from those around. But the saddest part is, the person engaging in the act often has no idea what they're doing. For seniors suffering from dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, or cognitive impairment, the brain's ability to regulate social behavior weakens. That means they can no longer distinguish what's private and what's public, what's appropriate, and what's not, especially when sexual needs still exist, but the rational system is no longer strong enough to moderate them. If you're the person in this situation or a caregiver, the most important response isn't scolding, shaming, or forbidding, but understanding and compassion. Here are a few practical solutions. Create a controlled private space. If your loved one tends to masturbate at certain times, ensure they have a safe private room with curtains, a soft lock, or quiet space. Avoid shame. If it happens publicly, gently guide them to a private area instead of reacting harshly. Scolding may cause more confusion and emotional distress. Seek neurological advice. If this behavior becomes frequent, consult a neurologist to assess cognitive decline and explore supportive interventions if needed. You don't need to feel ashamed on their behalf. Remember, when memory fades, what people need most isn't correction, but protection, gentleness, and understanding. 7. When masturbation is no longer about the body, but about avoiding your real emotions. Have you ever lived through days that felt completely silent? So silent that you could hear the ticking of the clock. So silent that you didn't want to turn on the TV, didn't want to call anyone, didn't want to step outside. And then, just to escape that emptiness, you choose to masturbate. Not because of clear desire, but because you need something to make you feel like you still exist. That behavior, if it only happens occasionally, is nothing to worry about. But when it becomes your go-to reaction every time you feel sad, lonely, hurt, or lost, then chances are you're using masturbation as a way to avoid facing what's inside. You're not wrong. Many of us have done the same. Because after 60, people lose so much. A lifelong partner, a busy routine, a job that once gave you a sense of purpose. And when all that is gone, your body is still here. And masturbation becomes something you can reach for, control, and use to prove to yourself, I can still feel something. But buried emotions don't disappear. They simply hide in a corner, waiting to be acknowledged. If after masturbating you still feel empty, sad, or as if you're living a life disconnected from the world, then maybe what you truly need isn't pleasure, but real connection with someone else or with your own inner self. The solution isn't to stop masturbating. It's to add other things worth living for into your daily life. Join a senior group or community activity. Start a morning emotional journal. Take a 15-minute walk each afternoon and notice how the sky changes. Call that old friend you've thought of many times but never dialed. Masturbation might ease your physical needs, but only genuine connection with others or with your true self can heal the emotional emptiness you may be carrying inside. 8. When masturbation unintentionally hurts you, especially if you're using medical devices. You know, there's a special group of people who are more vulnerable when it comes to masturbation in old age. Those who are using medical devices like catheters, drainage bags, post-surgery wraps, or even pacemakers and breathing aids. These devices help you live better, manage your condition, and stay healthy. But they also make your body more sensitive, more fragile. Yet no one talks about this. If you still have sexual desire, and that is absolutely normal, then masturbating the wrong way, in the wrong position, without paying attention to these devices, can lead to serious consequences. I remember an elderly man, over 70, who had a long-term catheter due to prostate enlargement. One day, he was lying on his side and decided to masturbate, forgetting that the catheter tube was crossing over his hip. At the peak moment, he suddenly twisted his body and was hit by a sharp, stabbing pain. The tube was pulled out of place, causing bleeding and a prolonged urinary tract infection. He had to be hospitalized for over a week. But what hurt him more than the injury was the shame. He kept thinking, I must have done something wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have these desires anymore. I'm too old to still be thinking about this. See? Sometimes masturbation doesn't hurt because of desire. It hurts because we haven't learned how to care for our body properly while it's connected to delicate, life-supporting equipment. So what should you do? First, let go of the shame. If you still desire, it means you're alive, and you absolutely have the right to experience that. At the same time, you need the right guidance to stay safe. Talk to your doctor or nurse. Ask openly, I still have desire. How can I safely take care of myself while using this device? Choose positions that don't put pressure on the equipment, If you have a catheter, try lying on your side with a pillow supporting your hips and thighs. If you have surgical wounds, avoid lying on your stomach or arching your back too much. Use unscented, alcohol-free lubricants made for sensitive skin to reduce friction, especially if you're less flexible than before. And if you're not sure, don't guess, ask. Knowing is protecting. Some people may wonder, am I asking for too much at this age? The answer is no. You're not asking for too much. You're simply holding on to the connection with being human, with your body, and with yourself. Don't let a medical device stop you from loving yourself. You don't have to choose between feeling and being safe. You can have both, if you know how. And it begins with honoring your needs as a legitimate part of life, even at 60, 70, or well beyond. Conclusion: don't masturbate just to release tension. Masturbate as an act of self-care. You've just walked with me through 8 behaviors that may seem small, but can quietly drain your vitality and your connection with your own body if repeated unconsciously. Maybe you found yourself thinking, I've done that before. Or maybe you simply nodded quietly, yes, there were times I felt empty afterward. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with you, and it's never too late. You're entering a different chapter of life, where pleasure isn't a race, but a way to return home. Return to sensation. Return to gratitude for your body. Return to yourself, even as you age, still worthy of love. So don't masturbate just to release. Masturbate as an act of self-care, connection, and healing. Take a moment to reflect on your old habits. Ask yourself, what small change can I make today to live a little lighter, a little healthier? A subtle shift today might become the gift of strength and joy tomorrow. And now, an invitation to connect. If this video touched something in you, leave a comment. Just one honest line. I realized something today, or I've been through this feeling before. Your story might become an invisible source of comfort for someone else out there. Someone who's lonely, confused, or feeling disconnected in their own body. And if you want to continue this journey of gentle healing, step by step, through topics that are hard to talk about but deeply human, subscribe to the Wise Age Meaning channel today. Because getting older doesn't mean ending. It means beginning to live more truly, with all the depth, softness, and freedom you've earned. I'll see you in the next video, wishing you a day full of gentleness for both your body and your soul.